Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Multiple Careers podcast. So, I've officially launched my book. My book, Multiple Careers, Quit the Rat Race, Pursue Fulfilling Work, is finally out on Amazon. It's available as a Kindle book on Amazon.com, Amazon.ca.uk, and all around the world. And currently, it's only available as a Kindle book. Some of you might be asking, will it be available as paperback or hardcover too? And yes, I do have plans to release it as a paperback, maybe even hardcover, and perhaps even as an audiobook if there's demand for it. But in any case, if I do it, that will be much later in the year. So in the meantime, if you're curious about the book, if you want to read it, I would highly recommend you to just get it now as a Kindle. And hold on a second, you might be thinking, in that case, I might have to pay twice, right? I buy the Kindle book and later on buy the paperback, but I have a surprise for you guys. So I'm giving away my Kindle book for free, so $0 for a limited time from this Friday, April 21st until Sunday, April 23rd. And note that that is PST time. So if during that time you go to Amazon, you will be able to find my book. I will show it to you right here. I hope there's not too much glare and you can see it. So you can just click on it, buy or add to cart, and then you can download it for free for you to keep at $0. So you can read that in the meantime, and later on when the paperback is out, if you still want to get it, you can still get it later on. So some of you might be wondering whether or not you need to have a Kindle book to be able to read it. So, a Kindle device like this. Personally, I would say that it's a great experience to read it on a Kindle device, but you do not have to have a Kindle device to read Kindle books in general, ebooks. You can also just use your phone, or you can even use a Galaxy Tab like I have, or you can use your iPad. You can read it on your laptop or desktop. So there are many ways to read Kindle books. Yeah, so I would really appreciate your support to get the book this weekend or today, even on a Friday. It would tremendously help me in getting the book up in the rankings. You might think that, okay, maybe one purchase less or more doesn't make a difference, but it really does. So now let me tell you a bit more about the book, why I wrote it, and especially what it can do for you guys in your process of changing your careers and achieving your career goals. So as many of you know, I myself was stuck in the corporate rat race around 10 years ago. I was stuck in a job that really made me miserable and that I disliked, and everyone else, my family, my friends, thought I was very successful because I got promotion after promotion. I got promoted to VP. I got assigned to an overseas office to work on various projects in banking, by the way. But it didn't matter to me at all, because the fact was that I was miserable. I knew deep down inside that I didn't care about the job at all. I mean, on the surface, I pretended to be professional, and oftentimes I felt like an imposter because I wasn't really interested in the banking world and the banking products. So I felt like my body was there, but my soul was actually somewhere else. And that's maybe also something that you are going through right now. Perhaps you are in a job or in a career that you're not really fond of, but you're just pretending. You're just pretending that you like it, and you're just enduring it because you feel that there's no way out. So that was me exactly 10 years ago. I was stuck in the rat race. But here's a very important note, guys, by the way, about the rat race. What is the rat race? What does it mean? If you're an employee working for a company, if you're working a 9 to 5, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are stuck in the rat race, because the rat race is actually not a physical place. The rat race is not the corporate building. It is not the cubicle that you're sitting in. It is not the fact that you are working for a corporation. The rat race is more of a situation. It is an attitude. Being in the rat race basically means that you are working in a job or you are pursuing a career that is relentless and meaningless. Relentless meaning that it goes on and there's no respite at all. You have no chance to take a break or have a longer vacation or catch your breath. You are overworked, you have no private life, and because you are under so much pressure and stress, you feel like you're not able to actually deliver your best work. But most importantly, what is characteristic of the rat race is that it is meaningless. The work that you do doesn't mean anything to you. There is no purpose behind it apart from just earning a paycheck and having status, being someone in society, having a position in a company. So that is what the rat race is about. And I was in the rat race myself, and at that time I just knew that this was not the right world for me. I didn't want to be in it any longer. I was certain that there is more to life than just this, and I wanted to get out of it as soon as possible. So I thought that life was just too short and too precious to be spending my time on things that didn't mean anything to me. So from there, I went on a quest. I went on a journey to find work that is more meaningful and purposeful. And it wasn't an easy journey at all. If you read my book later on, you will find out what kind of challenges I went through, obstacles, and what kind of setbacks I faced. It was awful at times. It was really hard to get out of that mindset and out of that system working for a corporation to go out there on your own and kind of chart your own path, follow your true interests, follow your passions, your purpose, and kind of reshape and design a career of your own, your ideal career, if you will. But I was so certain that there was a career out there for me that was suited to me, my personality, my lifestyle, my beliefs, my values, my purpose, and so on, that I kept working on it. I kept pivoting, tweaking my career when something didn't work out. I journaled a lot to try and find out what's actually wrong about my career, what I want to fix, and so on. And that process kind of led me to pursuing several careers in my life so far. It started out with acting and then filmmaking. I was an independent film producer and I produced 2 feature films. And I also dabbled in some small businesses, of which not all succeeded. I then moved to Toronto, Canada, because that was a move that I always wanted to make. I always wanted to move abroad again and experience life in another country. And I have no regrets, by the way. I have been living here in Toronto for about 5 years now, and I couldn't be happier about having made this decision. And then finally, I also moved into content creation. And as you guys know, I have this multiple careers podcast channel. I also have my multiple careers main channel, and then I also have another channel called Living in Canada, where I just recently reached 10,000 subscribers. And although I haven't gotten that far yet in the process, right now it makes me a pretty nice part-time income. And my latest endeavor, of course, is writing this book. I'm not sure yet whether or not book writing will turn into a career or not, or whether this will just be a one-off thing. That could also be the case, so let's just see how it goes. But basically, guys, what I need to tell you, this whole journey, all my efforts were worth it. Although it was such a hard time these years transitioning from the banking world, from being an employee, having a steady paycheck, to self-employment, pursuing multiple careers, but it was so worth it because in all the things that I do, no matter how hard they are, I had this sort of inner peace and balance, if you know what I mean, because I knew that I was suffering. I was putting in a lot of hard work for the right things. I mean, it was a very excruciating process at times, making videos and writing this book, but I knew that I had a purpose behind that because I wanted to share my experience of changing careers with the world. I wanted to inspire people to go after work that they truly love. So I just felt that my time was very well spent, and I do not have 1 ounce of regret. Had I stayed in my corporate job until now, perhaps my life would have been much different. boyfriend, maybe by now I would have a mansion, several cars, I would go traveling much more because I would earn those really fat bonuses that you get in the financial world. But for what? For what are those material possessions? For what is the money if you do not really enjoy your life? Think of this. You spend most of your day either sleeping, that's about 1/3, and then the other third, or maybe more than a third, maybe 3/5 of your day you spend working in front of your laptop, in front of your PC, with your colleagues, talking to your boss. If you're spending that time in a miserable state, if you're doing things that are meaningless to you, then you are practically wasting not only that time, but you are wasting your entire life. And guys, the bad news is, the reality is that there is no second life after death. This is your only chance to make it a beautiful, worthwhile, purposeful life. So that is the short version of my story of what I went through, and my work history, my career history sort of prompted me to write this book. I wanted to consolidate all of my experiences and all my various methods, if you will, to change careers, to start a new career in one book. I wanted to present it in a more systematic way so that it can also help other people. So that is exactly what I wish that the book can do for you. Most of you who are listening to my videos, who are subscribed to this channel, are doing so, I assume, and let me know if I'm wrong, because you are not 100% happy in your career or your current job, or maybe not even 60% happy about where you are, and you really want to make a change. Maybe you want to go into entrepreneurship, you want to be self-employed, or you want to start freelancing full-time, or you just want to start another career on the side, something that you have always wanted to do but never had the courage for. Or maybe you don't know what you want to do. I mean, a lot of people really have gotten so numb in their current careers, in their jobs, that they don't have a sense of what they're really interested in. So this book, my book Multiple Careers, can help you to kind of rediscover yourself, to rediscover what the things are that are truly important to you, what matters to you, what interests you truly, and kind of dig that out, excavate that, and then turn that perhaps into a career. And I know that there are a lot of self-help books out there, career guides that will tell you how to change careers, how to find your passion, and so on. And I believe that there are a lot of very, very good books on this topic, but I think that my book maybe takes a bit of a different angle, because it is not just meant for people who have one single interest and want to pursue one single career for their entire life. But my book takes into consideration that many people, and perhaps you included, are interested in a lot of things, and you do not quite know what you want to do with your interests. You're not sure if you want to make this a hobby, if you want to turn this into a career, and maybe you're even unsure if it's the right way to go, whether or not you can pursue multiple careers. And yeah, at this point, I just want to pause, and I want to reassure you, I want to tell you that yes, it is possible to have several careers in a lifetime. Maybe not always at once. I mean, it is definitely a bad idea to start 2 new careers at the same time. It will just strain you. But life is so long, and over the course of your entire life, you will be able to change careers several times, and you will be able to add new careers to your career portfolio. So the way that this book here is structured is that it has 4 parts. In part 1, I talk about 9 paradigm shifts. So I give you a different view of careers that you might not have heard before. And it will also change your perspective about what it means to be successful, what to think about time, what to make of your regrets, and how to look at money and material possessions. So after you read this part 1, it will give you a whole new view about what it actually means to have a career. And in part 2, I give you 6 tools that you can use to design your personal ideal career. So we're not talking about whether or not you will actually have a career exactly according to your design, but at least we're going into the process of figuring out what an ideal career might look to you, because that is the first step in everything. If you want to achieve a goal, you have to first be really clear on what you're aiming at, because if you don't know what you're aiming at, then you will just be scattered and going off into many different directions and not have any focus. And then in part 3, I'm actually going to give you a method which is called the multiple careers method. And that is actually also the method that I used whenever I'm working on a big project, whenever I'm starting a new career, whenever there's something really big going on in my life, like moving countries. I would use this method, which, by the way, I've developed over the last 5 to maybe 8 years in my life. That method will help you to turn those dreams, that ideal career that you designed, into reality. So if you really follow that step by step, then I can promise you that within a year, your career, your life will look very, very different, and you will be much, much more fulfilled than you are now. And then in part 4, finally, I talk about mindsets, some central mindsets that you need to have to successfully go through this process of changing careers, because oftentimes the biggest enemy in this process, in achieving your goals in general, it's not the world, it's not the economy, it's not other people or your boss or your critics, but it's actually you. You are your worst critic, and sometimes you can be your worst enemy, the only one holding you back from a life that you actually want to have. So in that chapter, I will help you to find out who you truly are, to understand yourself better by finding out what your true profile and your soft profile is, and then also giving you those mindsets that will equip you to make that change. And you'll also find in this book that I'm giving away a free downloadable workbook. So it comes attached as a link in the introduction section of the book. You can just click on that and the password is there, and you can download the workbook, and ideally you would print it out, and then you would go chapter by chapter and complete the exercises, the prompts, the journaling prompts in the workbook. And if you really take the time to go through that, then even within a couple of months, your entire life can completely change. So I really hope that you guys will give this a try, because this method, these tools have really helped me personally so much in my personal life. It has helped me to build my multiple YouTube channels, and also to write this book, and then to make the move to Toronto, and many other things. And I really hope that this book, along with the workbook, can help you do the same as well. Okay guys, now moving on, I want to tell you a bit more about the process of writing this book, because some of you listening to this episode right now might also be interested in writing a book. I know there are so many aspiring writers out there. Some of you might want to make a film, or want to make an app, or start some other project. In essence, it's the same. I mean, perhaps we're working on different projects, but from a project management perspective, from a making your dream become reality perspective, it's the same. And I can say this because I was a former project manager, so I have been taking over, I have been implementing a lot of these project management skills in whatever project I start, from my YouTube channels to this book and so on. So, you might think that the process of writing a book is very structured and even easy, but in fact, it can be quite messy. I think that I was able, with the help of my own multiple careers method, to carry out this book project in a rather structured way, because I had a project sheet in Excel, I had a methodology, I had timelines that I would say stuck to 80%, 90% of the time. But still, in reality, many times I got off track, I got off course, and there were a lot of hiccups along the way, a lot of frustrations and so on. So in this episode today, I will not walk you through the entire detailed process of writing a book, but I want to kind of prep you about the challenges that you might face if one day you would also write a book or work on some kind of other big project. And in case you are interested in the specifics of how my book writing process went, what I did step by step in granular detail, then please do let me know in the comments below. If there are enough people who are interested in this, then I will consider making another episode specifically on that topic. But now let's get back to talking about the high-level process. So my book writing process actually started in December of 2021. I know now it sounds like an eternity ago, right? I mean, now it's 2023, that was December 2021, but actually it was 16 months because it was already at the end of the year. Initially, I planned to finish the whole book in, I think, 8 months, but then after some further reading and research, I figured out that, okay, it might not be that realistic. Until launching, I might need 12 months. But in the end, it turned out to be 16 months. So now, as per April 2023, it's been 16 months from first initiation of the book until launching. And although everything took longer than expected, I think I still can't complain because in the end, I finished it, I launched it, and yeah, I reached my goal, at least so far. So there's one thing that I want to show you that might interest you. So here you can see a huge mind map. So this is actually not the first mind map. There was another one before that. So this is, I would say, version 2. And this is what kind of kickstarted the writing of my book. I just realized that I formed a barrier between me and the mic by holding this up. So this is better. So this is a mind map, and you can see in the middle it says multiple careers, where I listed out, I brainstormed in detail everything that I wanted to talk about in this book. So without censoring myself, and you can see it branches off in so many directions. So this is what I did. I think in the, sorry. Okay, bloopers. I'm not gonna cut this out. This is the reality of the podcast. So in December, I think 20th or 20 something before Christmas, I came up with this mind map. Then I put it aside for a while, and then the next thing that I did was that I turned that into a very high level outline, and then from the outline I went into my first draft. And my first draft was, I think it was 60 or 70,000 words, and that phase was actually very exciting. It was a lot of fun, and it was very low pressure in a sense because I was just free writing, and I didn't put any restrictions on myself. I didn't worry too much about like grammar and structure and everything. I just wrote everything that came into my mind. So I finished that part very fast, like within a month or so. But then from there, I went into the rewrites, and you know for yourself that good books or good scripts are made through the rewrite. So it's never the first draft that is like the complete and final draft. Most likely, everyone will need to rewrite it several times until they get to the version that they're happy with. And that also happened in my case. I think in total, I had 9 official versions. Of course, in between there are like some subversions and so on, but I had 9 versions. And what I can say is that in the beginning, it felt very exciting, a lot of fun, very light. But then towards the middle of the process, I fell into a slump. I suddenly got really discouraged about my project. I was very unconfident about the whole book. I wasn't confident whether people would be interested in it, whether or not it was a good book. And I hated my own writing. I found it like too complicated. I found it too bulky and so on. And then I started chopping it off. I tried to get it down to about 50,000 words, and that took a long time. And finally I got there to about 50,000 something words, but then I was not done yet. I kept editing it and refining it, and I went through it so many times until when I read the book, the words suddenly didn't mean anything to me anymore. I'm not sure if you've experienced that before. If you read something so often, then the words start to lose their meaning. So I just needed to take a break, and I had a chance to do that. I took a break. That's very important, by the way, guys. Whenever you work on a huge project, you have to allow yourself some break so you can then return to the project with a clear and fresh mind again. So after I came back to the project, I worked on it for a couple more rounds, and then I finally worked with an editor who looked at my manuscript and gave me all these inputs and improved the flow of the sentences and everything. So the document came back to me with a lot of marks, and I had to go through it again. And then you would have thought that after that line editing process by a professional editor, you're done with the book, right? And it's ready to launch. But wrong. No. After he gave it back to me, I made the corrections, and then I made so many more changes to the document. I went through several rounds of changes again because I was imagining if I were the reader, I bought the book and read through the book, would I be happy? Would I be satisfied reading this paragraph, this sentence? And the answer was oftentimes no. Like, I didn't like this. And then I changed things around, and I had several more versions. And there was a time where I was not really about to give up, but I really had enough of it. I was really sick of my own book. I just couldn't read it anymore. I just wanted to finish it. But I knew that, once my book is out there, it's out there, and I wanted it to be the best book that I could write at that moment. But even more importantly, I wanted the book to make an impact on people, on you guys reading it. I didn't want to just launch a book for the sake of it, but I wanted it to make a difference in people's lives. I wanted it to be able to actively change people's lives who are reading the book and working on the workbook. So I really gave my all. I went through several more revisions. I read it out loud several times, recorded myself to listen to how it sounded, if it were an audiobook. And then finally, a few weeks ago, I was finished. And then I could start to work on the book cover, on the marketing, and so on. And here we are today now. Finally, we arrived at this day. My book is out on Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, and worldwide. And I'm really, really happy to be able to present this book to you. So if you are still here with me so far into this podcast episode, then again, give this book a chance. It's very easy. You just need to head down to the description section, click on the link, and get the book for free from Friday now until Sunday, April 23rd, PST time. Yeah, so guys, this was an exciting one, bit different than the usual. I really hope that after I've launched this book, I will have more time for both my main Multiple Careers channel as well as this podcast, because I realize that this book has taken so much time away from my podcast and also my YouTube channel, and I haven't been uploading as frequently. So it's time for a new chapter, and I want to start dedicating more time again to these channels. And in case you guys have special requests, if there are things that you want me to talk about specifically about the world of work, about changing careers, about finding your purpose, about finding work that you love, then please, I really encourage you, do leave your comments down below. I will definitely read them. I will respond to them. And if possible, I will even make a video about that. So guys, that's about it for today. Thank you so much again for listening, and I wish you a great day, and I'll see you again pretty soon.